Are you following me? Isabel Morales stood up abruptly, pulling her daughters close as she confronted the well-dressed man making his way toward her on the stone steps. Thomas Reed halted, taken aback by her response. No, I've seen you here before. I am interested in purchasing one of your bracelets. For 3 weeks you've strolled by observing us. So, out of the blue, you're interested in a bracelet? Isabel's gaze sharpened, her arm instinctively drawing Sophia and Emma closer as a shield. Mom, you said we need sales, whispered 9-year-old Sophia, her voice tinged with confusion. The elegant storefronts of Chicago's Gold Coast district framed their tense exchange, Isabel's modest selling display standing in stark contrast to the luxury boutique behind them. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable, Thomas said, his expensive suit and confident demeanor signaling his place among Bella Reeves' affluent clientele. I'm Thomas Reed. The color drained from Isabel's face at the sound of his name. She quickly started to gather her beads and wire into a tattered canvas bag. Girls, we're leaving now. But, Mom, Emma, the younger daughter, protested. Now, Emma, Isabel urged, her voice trembling just a bit. Thomas looked at them, confused by their response. Have we crossed paths before? As Isabel hurried her daughters along, Sophia let her book slip from her grasp. As Thomas grasped the item, ready to return it, a photograph unexpectedly fell out from the pages. The family portrait captured Isabel alongside 2 young girls and a man Thomas had not laid eyes on in more than a decade, his younger brother, Michael. Isabel's hands quivered as she turned the key in the lock of their modest rented home. The girls hurried indoors, with Emma instantly voicing her hunger, while Sophia observed her mother with a look of concern. Who was that man, Mum? Why did we leave so fast? Isabel stepped into the kitchen, instinctively beginning to prepare dinner, even as her mind raced with questions. The cozy home was simply decorated yet tidy, with framed photos of Michael taking center stage. He was your father's brother, Isabel finally replied. Dad had a brother. Sophia's eyes grew wide. Why weren't we aware of him? Isabel sliced the vegetables with an intensity that seemed excessive. They hadn't spoken in many years before I even met your father. Does that make him our uncle? Emma asked, her interest piqued at the thought of a new family member. Isabel hesitated, knife held in mid-air. 6 months after Michael's unexpected passing, the medical bills continued to flood in, accompanied by overdue notices for the mortgage. Yesterday, the bank reached out regarding foreclosure proceedings. The waitressing job barely managed to cover groceries, and her bracelet sales were hit or miss at best. Yes, technically he's your uncle, she confessed. But sometimes family is complicated. Later that night, after tucking the girls into bed, Isabel retrieved an old shoebox from the closet. Within were keepsakes of Michael. His watch, their wedding photo, and an envelope holding the obituary she had submitted to the newspaper. She recalled the funeral, the imposing figure who lingered at the rear of the church, departing before the service concluded. At that moment, she was unaware of his identity. Yet now, looking back, the similarities between the brothers are unmistakable. Isabel pondered the reasons behind Thomas's decision to approach them today, especially after weeks of silent observation. Was it mere chance, or had he, in some way, discerned a reflection of his brother within her daughters? Regardless, she couldn't bear any complications. Her existence was challenging enough without unearthing past family scars. Thomas reclined in his penthouse, the breathtaking Chicago skyline stretching out before him, while Sophia's book lay open on the coffee table, inviting his attention. The family photo had unsettled him deeply. Michael, a husband and father of 2 daughters, remains unaware of their existence. He powered on his laptop and typed in his brother's name, stumbling upon the obituary from 6 months prior. Michael Reed, at the age of 36, passed away suddenly due to a heart attack. He leaves behind his wife, Isabel, along with his daughters, Sophia and Emma. No call had come, no notification arrived. But then, what reason would there be? It had been a decade since their harsh words echoed between them. The moment when Michael confronted Thomas, claiming he valued their father's business over their bond as brothers. Thomas poured himself a drink, nostalgia washing over him. The conflict began with disagreements over business choices following their father's passing, but soon intensified into allegations regarding Thomas's domineering demeanor and Michael's lack of accountability. Sharp exchanges filled the air, as each asserted that separation was for the best. Thomas had always believed that Michael would come back one day, to say sorry, to rekindle their bond, to seek something from him. Thomas's pride had held him back from taking the initiative, and now the moment had slipped away. He gazed at the photograph once more. The girls possessed Michael's eyes, particularly the elder one. His brother had built a family, experienced life, and passed away without Thomas ever being aware. And now, by sheer coincidence, their paths had intersected outside an upscale boutique where a widowed mother peddled handmade jewelry to make ends meet. Thomas arrived at a conclusion. On the morrow, he would make his way back to Belarive and attempt once more. This time, he was determined not to let Isabel slip away without a fight. These girls, his nieces, represented his final bond to his brother. He was indebted to Michael for that, at the very least. Thomas arrived at Belarive the next morning, filled with resolve, yet Isabel's familiar place was conspicuously vacant. He came back at various intervals during the day, but each time he was met with disappointment. On the third day he made his way to Diane, the owner of the boutique. "Do you happen to know when the woman selling bracelets outside will be back?" Diane regarded him with a wary eye. "Isabel, what prompts your curiosity about her?" "It's intimate. Family business." Diane's eyebrows arched in surprise. "She said someone was troubling her, that you—" Thomas let out a deep breath. "I am the brother of her late husband. I was unaware of her or her daughters until I encountered them here." "Well, that's an interesting coincidence," Diane remarked with a hint of skepticism. "Isabel is a remarkable woman, dedicated and diligent, ensuring those girls remain well-mannered despite the challenges they face. All things." Diane's expression eased just a bit. "Grieving the loss of her husband, fighting to maintain their home. She serves at Marino's on Clark Street in the mornings, then arrives here in the afternoons. Recently, she has been absent on certain days, however." With a grateful nod, Thomas departed, making his way directly to Marino's. The eatery was quaint and run by a family. He noticed Isabel right away, pouring coffee for an elderly couple. Upon turning to face him, her demeanor shifted to one of steely resolve. "What led you to discover me?" "It's time for a conversation, Isabel. I am currently engaged in my work. I will patiently await." He remained there, occupying a corner table for 3 hours, patiently waiting until her shift came to a close. Isabel finally made her way to him, loosening the ties of her apron. Just 10 minutes, nothing more. They gathered around his table, with Isabel sitting rigidly on the edge of her chair. "Why was I left in the dark about Michael's passing?" Thomas inquired. "What would motivate them to do that? You were not included in his existence. I am his sibling, a sibling he seldom spoke of, only to remark that you both had insurmountable disagreements." Isabel's voice carried a decade of unwavering allegiance to her husband's viewpoint. "It wasn't until you entered the funeral that I truly recognized you. But by the time I gathered my thoughts, you had already departed, leaving me without a chance to say a word." Thomas appeared taken aback. "That was indeed you. I noticed a woman accompanied by 2 girls, though only from behind. I was unaware of your identity. I came across the news of his passing in the business section 2 days post-event. So you arrived to honor a sibling with whom you hadn't exchanged words in 10 years. Regardless of all that had transpired, he remained my brother." Isabel observed him, recognizing the likeness to Michael with greater clarity now. The jawline was identical, the eyes reminiscent. Yet Thomas exuded a sense of rigid formality that her laid-back husband had never possessed. She concluded, stating that the girls currently do not require any confusion in their lives. "We're doing well. Are you, Thomas, facing a challenge? You're crafting unique bracelets on boutique steps while serving tables. That doesn't seem quite right to me." Isabel's eyes sparkled with intensity. "Your judgment and your money are not required here. How are your daughters doing? Shouldn't they have the chance to know their uncle? The inquiry struck home. Isabel reflected on Sophia's inquiry regarding her father's family and the girls' slow retreat following Michael's passing. They had endured far too many losses already. She agreed, albeit with some hesitation, to meet this Saturday at Lakefront Park by the playground. It is 2 o'clock. The ladies will be present, so ensure the dialogue remains suitable. Saturday dawned with delightful spring weather. Thomas arrived 30 minutes early, feeling an unusual sense of nervousness. He noticed Isabel and the girls at the playground and made his way over with careful steps. Young women, Isabel remarked as he arrived at their location. This is your father's sibling, your Uncle Thomas. Sophia observed him intently as Emma partially concealed herself behind Isabel. Sophia finally spoke up. You look just like Daddy in the pictures. Thomas crouched down to meet their gaze. I truly regret not having the chance to meet you both earlier. Where were you when Father passed away? Emma inquired directly. Isabel flinched, yet Thomas responded with sincerity. I wasn't aware that your father was unwell. It had been far too long since we last spoke, and that was an oversight on my part. Why didn't you say anything? Sophia pressed. Thomas cast a fleeting look at Isabel before shifting his gaze back to his nieces. A significant disagreement arose regarding your grandfather's business. We exchanged words that were better left unsaid, and then our stubbornness kept us from offering an apology. That's absurd, Emma stated. Mother insists we apologize immediately. Thomas confessed that your mother possesses greater intelligence than he did. Could you demonstrate your swinging technique for me? I'm confident I can elevate you beyond what anyone else can achieve. The girls turned their gaze to Isabel, who gave a hesitant nod. As they dashed toward the swings, Isabel shouted after them. Keep it moderate, Thomas. For the next hour, Thomas propelled the girls on swings, caught them at the base of slides, and absorbed their tales about school and friendships. Isabel sat on the bench, catching fleeting glimpses of the Michael she had cherished in the way Thomas shared laughter with the girls. As they strolled toward the parking lot, Sophia gently pulled on Thomas's hand. Uncle Thomas, could you share some tales about Daddy's childhood? Thomas glanced at Isabel, who gave a subtle nod. Your father had a remarkable talent for constructing things, a skill he started honing from a young age. He constructed a treehouse featuring 3 distinct rooms and a functional door. I was 14, and he was 10, yet his design surpassed anything I could have envisioned. As Thomas wove his narrative, Isabel observed her daughter's expressions brighten with each new link to their father. For the first time since Michael's passing, they appeared completely absorbed, eager for the tales that only Thomas could share. Even with her doubts, Isabel understood that this wouldn't be their final encounter after all. Sophia burst through the door after school, her excitement palpable. Mom, Uncle Thomas is taking us to the Science Museum on Saturday. Isabel lifted her gaze from the array of bills scattered across the kitchen table. Is he really? When was this determination made? Sophia explained, holding up the basic phone Isabel had given her for emergencies, that he had texted her. He mentioned that I should seek your approval. Isabel let out a weary breath. 3 weeks had gone by since the gathering at the park, and Thomas had slowly woven himself into the fabric of their lives. Initially, there were numerous outings to the park, followed by a visit to the library, and now there are exciting plans for the museum. Show me that message, Isabel said, glancing at her phone. Have you responded yet? No. I wanted to ask you first, Sophia said, her expression filled with anticipation. Isabel paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. The notice of foreclosure arrived yesterday. The bracelet sales outside Bellarive had seen some improvement, yet it still fell short of expectations. The overdue medical bills from Michael's last days cast an overwhelming shadow. Isabel vowed to have a conversation with him. Time will tell. Later that evening, once the girls had drifted off to sleep, Isabel picked up the phone and called Thomas. The Science Museum seems pricey, she remarked without any introduction. Greetings to you as well, Isabel, Thomas responded, and I hold a membership. The girls are forming a bond with you. Is that an issue? Isabel walked back and forth in her cozy living room. Could be the case if you choose to vanish from their existence. I shall not. You slipped away from Michael's life with surprising ease. The quiet lingered in the air until Thomas finally broke the stillness with his words. That seems quite unjust, Isabel. It was indeed a complex situation. Life presents a myriad of complexities. That doesn't imply forsaking family. I am working to rectify that situation now. Isabel cast a fleeting look at the pile of bills resting on the counter. The girls are welcome to join you at the museum, but I'll be there as well. Thomas remarked that he had assumed you would. What about Isabel? I want to contribute beyond just museum visits. We don't need pity. You are part of the family. That stands out. Isabel concluded the conversation without acknowledging his proposal. At the museum, Thomas observed the girls darting joyfully between the exhibits. Isabel had remained silent throughout the morning, her expression a clear struggle between pride and concern. As they observed the younger girl reveling in the bubble demonstration, Thomas noted that Emma shared Michael's infectious laugh. Isabel's demeanor became gentler. Sophia commands his attention. Once she embarks on a task, she perseveres until it reaches perfection. Similar to the bracelets you create. They are stunning creations. Isabel confessed that what started as a pastime evolved into something essential. Thomas paused, weighing his words carefully before he began to speak. A friend is in search of someone to assist with her event planning business. Methodical, attentive to specifics, skilled in interpersonal interactions. It offers a more lucrative opportunity than serving tables. Isabel scowled. Have you crafted a position for me? Negative. Patricia truly requires companionship. She has 3 events scheduled for next month, and her former assistant has departed for graduate school. I lack formal experience. Last year, you took charge of that school fundraiser, Thomas pointed out. Sophia brought it up. You oversaw Michael's appointments throughout his illness. That demands the same abilities. Isabel observed her daughters, reflecting on his words. I'm unable to purchase new clothes for interviews. Patricia has a casual demeanor. Meet her for coffee just as you are. As they enjoyed their lunch in the museum cafe, Thomas observed Isabel assisting Emma in cutting her sandwich, all the while engaging in a conversation about a science fact with Sophia. She navigated motherhood with a skill that brought to mind their mother. A person capable of juggling various tasks with an air of ease and grace. Has Michael ever brought up our parents? Thomas inquired abruptly. Isabel paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. He mentioned that your mother was compassionate but frequently found herself in the middle of the dynamics between you and your father. Thomas gave a slight nod. She attempted to navigate that last disagreement. I chose not to listen. Isabel confessed that Michael seldom discussed his family. The pain was overwhelming for him. What about you? How is your family doing? My parents returned to Mexico after they retired. They make an annual visit. My sister resides in California. So, it's just you and the girls here? Isabel adjusted her posture. We take charge. No longer must you navigate this journey by yourself. The next week, Thomas treated the girls to ice cream as Isabel sat down for an interview with Patricia. As she stepped out of the cafe, her smile conveyed all that needed to be said. Isabel joined them at the outdoor table, saying, She wants me to start Monday, initially part-time, but there's a possibility of transitioning to full-time by summer. That's truly wonderful, Thomas remarked with genuine sincerity. Sophia shared that Uncle Thomas brought her chocolate chip cookies, while Emma chose strawberry. Did he really? Did you both express your gratitude? Indeed, Mom, they responded in unison. Thomas observed the intimate family moment, feeling an unfamiliar pang in his heart. This was what Michael had crafted, this inviting circle of affection that Thomas had never deemed important in his own existence. That evening, Thomas extended an invitation to his penthouse for a dinner gathering. Isabel was hesitant at first, but the enthusiasm of the girls swayed her decision. Thomas observed their wide-eyed reaction to his spacious apartment with its panoramic city views, allowing him to see his home in a fresh light. This place is larger than our entire house, Emma exclaimed. As Thomas shared his collection of architecture books with the girls, Isabel drifted over to the windows, captivated by the breathtaking view. She murmured softly as Thomas approached, "Michael would have cherished this. He consistently valued exceptional design. He recalled his aspiration to become an architect. Did he follow through on that?" Isabel's expression darkened. He was employed by a construction firm in the role of project manager. He spoke of the dream to establish his own firm one day, but once the heart condition was diagnosed, everything shifted. Thomas experienced yet another wave of regret for the time that had slipped away. "The girls are truly delightful, Isabel. He performed admirably with them. Both of you did. We put forth our utmost effort." Isabel faced him. "This position with Patricia? Thanks a lot. Having a reliable source of income is incredibly significant. It's not an act of charity. You truly deserve it." Yet, a faint smile played on Isabel's lips. "We appreciate your consideration." As they shared a meal, Thomas came to understand just how hollow his penthouse had felt before the arrival of these three. Achievement had bestowed upon him all but what Michael had deemed most important: kin. Thomas was resolute in his commitment to seize this opportunity. Sophia asked for another story about Dad one Sunday afternoon, 2 months after Thomas had come into their lives. In the cozy confines of Isabel's quaint backyard, the girls eagerly assisted Thomas and Isabel in the delightful task of planting a vegetable garden. Thomas had woven himself into the fabric of their weekends, and gradually into their weeknights as well. Let us take a moment to consider. Thomas brushed the dirt from his hands. At a time when your dad was around Emma's age, he crafted a robot using cardboard boxes. He maintained that it was capable of handling chores, despite the fact that it was merely him inside the boxes acting as if. The girls chuckled, enchanted by this fresh insight into their father's world. Sophia remarked, her expression briefly tinged with sadness, that he never shared these stories with us. "Well, now you have Uncle Thomas to share with you," Isabel said, surprising herself with the kindness in her tone. As Thomas assisted with the post-dinner cleanup, he caught sight of the pile of mail that Isabel had carelessly discarded, several envelopes marked with final notice stamps. "Isabel," he started with caution. "What about the house?" She stiffened at once. "We are managing the situation. Do you happen to be?" Isabel cast her eyes toward the living room, where the girls were immersed in their books. She whispered, "Not in front of them." Once the girls were tucked in for the night, Isabel made her way back to the kitchen, where Thomas was patiently waiting. She confessed that the bank had called yesterday. "There are 30 days remaining until the foreclosure process begins. Allow me to assist you." Her reply came without delay. "I won't accept your money." Thomas contended that it extends beyond just your perspective. "The girls require a sense of stability, and I must maintain my dignity." Isabel's voice lifted a touch before she reined it in. "The new position is proving beneficial. I'm putting aside funds for an apartment. In a month, Isabel, please consider the situation logically. It would have been sensible for you and Michael to have reconciled long ago," she retorted. "It would be entirely justifiable for my husband to still be alive. This is the situation we face, and I will navigate it in my own manner." Thomas noted the determined line of her jaw, reminiscent of Michael's when he had resolved to take a stand. "Allow me the opportunity to assist you in finding a place. I have connections in the real estate industry." Isabel softened a bit. "All right, but whatever we discover must stay within my financial limits." "My actual budget," Thomas acknowledged, embracing the modest triumph. In the weeks that ensued, Isabel observed uplifting transformations in her daughters. Sophia's teacher noted that she was engaging more actively in class once again. Emma had also ceased to experience nightmares about losing her mother. Thomas's presence was mending something within each of them. One evening, Thomas welcomed them to his penthouse to toast Isabel's advancement to a full-time position at the event planning company. "Mom, can we check out Uncle Thomas's place?" After dinner, Emma inquired. Isabel cautioned, "Keep away from his bedroom and tread carefully." As the girls explored Thomas's array of architectural models, Isabel assisted him in tidying up the dishes. She noted your skill with them. Have you ever contemplated the idea of starting your own family? Thomas took a moment to reflect. Prioritizing tasks was essential. Michael had a point there. It's always the right time. You would excel in the role of a father. Just as Thomas was about to reply, a loud crash echoed from his home office. They hurried to discover Sophia, motionless next to an overturned box, with papers strewn across the floor. "I'm so sorry," Sophia exclaimed. "I was simply searching for additional volumes of Dad's architecture collection." "It's fine," Thomas assured her, kneeling to collect the scattered papers. "Everything is intact." Isabel leaned down to assist, but then froze, her fingers brushing against an envelope. The letter was directed to Thomas, and the handwriting was unmistakably Michael's. The envelope bore the label "Returned to Sender," remaining untouched and sealed. She grasped one after another. A minimum of 12 comparable envelopes lay strewn across the documents. "What are these things?" she insisted, her tone strained. Thomas raised his gaze, observing the object she grasped. His expression transformed into one of concern. "Isabel, these come from Michael." Everything was sent back unopened. She sifted through them, examining the postmarks with care. A few from 8 years back. Several from the previous year. Sophia and Emma remained still, acutely aware of the charged atmosphere around them. "Girls, go watch TV in the living room," Isabel directed, her tone measured and composed. Once they departed, Isabel turned to Thomas. "He made several attempts to reach out to you, and you returned them still sealed." Thomas confessed his anger. Unyielding, he was fading away. Isabel propelled the latest letter toward him. "This document is marked with a date from 3 months prior to his heart attack. He was attempting to reconcile with you. I had no idea he was unwell. You didn't allow him the opportunity to share his thoughts." Isabel's eyes brimmed with tears. "Can you imagine the significance it would have held for him to find peace with you? He occasionally mentioned you, pondering whether you would ever have the chance to meet his daughters." Thomas extended his hand toward the letters. "Isabel, I must insist, no." She collected the envelopes, holding them tightly against her heart. "For so long, I believed you were deprived of the opportunity to make amends. Yet it was you who opted for this separation. You dismissed his efforts to reconcile." "I made a mistake," Thomas said softly. "An irreversible error that haunts me endlessly." "Absolutely not." Isabel summoned the girls. "Sophia, Emma, it's time to go." "But Mom," Sophia started. "Now," Isabel asserted, her tone leaving no room for dissent. At the threshold, Isabel paused and glanced back at Thomas. "Please refrain from reaching out to us in the future. The girls deserve better than someone who discards family so effortlessly." Thomas stood there, a sense of helplessness washing over him, as the elevator doors slid shut on the 3 individuals who had rekindled purpose in his existence. That night, he gazed at the letters Isabel had returned, feeling a profound regret for his pride that surpassed anything he had ever anticipated. For a fortnight, Thomas respected Isabel's request for distance. He refrained from sending any texts, avoided making calls, and kept his distance from both Bella Reeve and Marino's. The void left by Sophia and Emma's laughter created a silence deeper than anything he had ever known. In his office, Thomas struggled to concentrate on his tasks. Michael's letters lingered on his desk, a silent testament to his shortcomings. At last, one evening, he cruised by Isabel's house, wanting to make sure they were all right. The appearance of a foreclosure sign in the yard sent a wave of unease through him. The following morning, he reached out to Patricia. "How is Isabel faring?" Patricia let out a deep sigh. Facing challenges, even if she'd never acknowledge it. Putting in long hours, feeling drained. She is on the hunt for an apartment, yet the costs in respectable neighborhoods close to the girls' school exceed her financial means. Has she discovered anything? A location somewhere in the city. The girls would need to switch schools, and she would face a 90-minute journey each way. Patricia took a moment to reflect. "I understand this might not be my place, but I just want to say that those girls seemed much happier when you were part of their lives." With a grateful nod, Thomas ended the call. He has made his decision. That evening, He found Isabel at her second job, tidying up offices in a downtown building after hours. He discovered her on the 15th floor, diligently emptying trash bins. Isabel stood still, her breath caught in her throat as she laid eyes on him. "What led you to discover me?" "That is of no consequence." Thomas raised his hands in a tranquil sign of peace. "I simply wish to engage in conversation. I am currently engaged in my work." Isabel shifted to the adjacent cubicle, deliberately overlooking him. "I brought the letters," Thomas said softly. "Every single one. Sealed tight." Isabel halted, turning her back to him. He suggested that we could read them together. "I'm curious about what Michael attempted to convey to me, what I chose to ignore." Isabel pivoted with deliberate slowness. Fatigue lingered in the dark circles under her eyes and the droop of her shoulders. "What prompts this moment? I have already wasted too much time. Sophia and Emma have a right to learn more about their father. Since you are part of the family, I really don't want to lose you as well." Isabel cast a quick look at her watch. "I must complete this floor before the clock strikes midnight. I shall remain patient." He sat there, alone in the vacant reception area, as Isabel went about her cleaning duties. As the clock approached midnight, she settled into a chair opposite him, her presence marked by a weighty sigh. "Show them to me." Thomas presented her with the carefully arranged bundle of letters, each one sorted by date. Isabel chose the oldest one, stamped from 8 years prior, and passed it to him. "It's your turn to take the lead and open it." With meticulous attention, Thomas delicately opened the seal on the first envelope. "Dear Thomas, it has been 2 years since our last conversation. I still feel a deep frustration about the way things unfolded with Dad's business, yet I find myself missing my brother. I encountered a remarkable individual. Isabel is her name. She is pursuing a degree in education. She is the most intelligent and compassionate individual I have ever encountered. I long for you to meet her. Perhaps one day, Michael." They opened the letters one by one, following the path of Michael's life through marriage, fatherhood, career shifts, and ultimately his illness. Some letters were concise, while others stretched into lengthy pages. Thomas recited each piece, his voice trembling at times. The 6th letter included images of the newborn, Sophia. The 8th heralded the arrival of Emma. The 10th unveiled the diagnosis of Michael's heart condition. The last letter, composed mere months before his passing, affected them both the most deeply. "Dear Thomas, the doctors have informed me that my heart condition is deteriorating. I've been reflecting deeply on the nature of time, its value, and the swift passage it seems to take. Sophia is inquiring about her extended family. I've shared images of you with her, highlighting just how intelligent her uncle is. I have erred as well. Perhaps I ought to have put in more effort, reaching out with a call rather than relying on letters that go unanswered. The toll of pride has been significant for us both. If something were to happen to me, Isabel and the girls would be left without any extended family in this place. My deepest sorrow would be departing from this life, with this barrier still standing between us. Life is fleeting, my friend. Holding on to grudges serves no purpose. Without fail. Michael." As Thomas closed the book, a profound silence enveloped them, each quietly brushing away their tears. "He never revealed the gravity of his condition," Isabel finally remarked. "He wished to spare us from any concern." Thomas acknowledged that he consistently looked out for everyone. Isabel whispered, "I found him collapsed in the kitchen. The ambulance arrived, but it was already too late." Thomas extended his arm and grasped her hand gently. This time she remained close. "I deeply regret everything, Isabel." She squeezed his hand, and I felt the same way. "The girls are thinking of you. I long for their presence and yours." Isabel gazed through the window, captivated by the shimmering city lights. "We must vacate the house by next Friday. I discovered an apartment, yet it's quite a distance from their school. Allow me to assist, not out of pity, but out of kinship. It aligns with Michael's wishes." This time, Isabel gave a nod of agreement. "For the ladies, but I will reimburse you every single penny." Thomas beamed with delight. "You possess the same unwavering determination he did." Someone has to be, Isabel replied, a faint smile flickering across her weary face. The girls are set to showcase their talents in a school performance tomorrow night. Sophia has dedicated weeks to honing her lines. I'd be delighted to attend, Thomas remarked thoughtfully. It is 7 o'clock. Please ensure you arrive on time. As they made their way to the elevator side by side, each holding a portion of Michael's letters, Thomas sensed a change in the atmosphere surrounding them. The initial fragile connection spanning the abyss of sorrow and miscommunication that had kept them apart. The school auditorium hummed with the energy of eager families as Thomas quietly settled into the seat that Isabel had reserved for him. Sophia caught sight of them from backstage and waved with excitement, her expression brightening at the appearance of her uncle. Thank you for being here, Isabel murmured. It holds immense significance for her. Sophia's portrayal as the central tree in the environmental play evoked unforeseen tears from Thomas. As she delivered her lines with unwavering assurance, he recognized reflections of Michael's steadfast resolve. She was incredible, Thomas remarked to Sophia later, as she dashed toward them holding a paper leaf costume prop. Did you notice when I had to catch Joey just before he tumbled? Sophia inquired, her enthusiasm bubbling over. I remained in character throughout, while Emma pulled at Thomas's jacket. Are you returning to our place now? Thomas cast a questioning look at Isabel. Isabel affirmed with a subtle smile, indicating her preference for ice cream. If you wish to be a part of our gathering. The small house exuded a different aura that evening, transforming from a space they were departing to a mere waypoint on their journey. Once the girls were tucked in for the night, Isabel and Thomas found themselves at the kitchen table, the unopened letters lying in front of them, a silent invitation to delve into their contents. Isabel pondered the significance of these, her fingers brushing softly against the envelopes. Michael always held onto the hope that you both would find your way back to each other one day. Thomas nodded, a lump forming in his throat. I became so absorbed in validating my own perspective that I failed to recognize what I was sacrificing. She smiled wistfully, recognizing the familiar stubbornness of two brothers. As they unfolded the last letters, each one unveiled another fragment of Michael's existence. His pride in the girls' achievements, his struggles in his career, his aspirations for the architectural firm he envisioned starting one day. Isabel shared how he relentlessly pursued that dream. He was enrolled in evening courses for architectural design prior to his health deteriorating. He maintained a collection of sketches for the buildings he aspired to create. Thomas inclined his body, eager and attentive. Are they still in your possession? Isabel gave a subtle nod. Within the confines of his workspace. I wasn't ready to put it away just yet. She guided Thomas to a cozy room adjacent to the living area. Michael's desk stood untouched, sketches affixed to a corkboard, reference books arranged with care, and a framed photo of Isabel and the girls showcased prominently. His work was impressive, Thomas remarked while scrutinizing the intricate sketches, truly impressive. Isabel stated plainly, without any hint of blame, that he would have valued hearing that from you. They made their way back to the kitchen and completed the reading of the letters. In the previous piece, Michael crafted something that piqued Isabel's interest. Revisit this section once more. I've compiled a collection of my designs and stored them in the safety deposit box, anticipating that they may be of use to someone in the future. Isabel lifted her gaze. I didn't take a look at his safety deposit box, what with the funeral and the bills and all that going on. I completely overlooked that he possessed it. The following morning, they made their way to the bank as a pair. The manager guided them to a secluded room where the recovered box awaited. Within, they discovered a substantial portfolio filled with architectural designs, business plans for Reed Architectural Design, and a sealed envelope directed to the one who uncovers this. With hands that trembled, Isabel opened it. If you find yourself reading this, it seems that my health may not have unfolded as I had hoped. Within these pages lie my visions and blueprints for the architectural firm I have always aspired to create. Isabel, if it is indeed you, please understand that these could hold some value, possibly for sale to a reputable company. And if by some miracle my stubborn brother is with you, I never stopped hoping for our reconciliation. Thomas, you always possessed the business acumen that I seem to lack. Perhaps you could assist Isabel in figuring out whether any of this is worth exploring further. No matter the outcome, remember that each design was crafted with heartfelt intention and meaning. Similar to our family, they were designed for endurance. All my love, Michael, Isabel, and Thomas sat in a state of shocked stillness. The proof of Michael's skill and vision unfolded in front of them. He considered every detail, Isabel murmured. Thomas concurred, as he always did. These designs are groundbreaking. Concentrated on eco-friendly city living, that's an expanding sector. What thoughts are crossing your mind? Isabel inquired, noticing the intense expression on his face, reminiscent of Michael's when a spark of creativity ignited. Your expertise in event planning, combined with my business connections and Michael's designs, has the potential to create something truly impactful. Thomas locked eyes with her. Not immediately, but in due time. The company he envisioned. Isabel fixed her gaze on him. That would be a means to pay tribute to him, Thomas concluded, while ensuring the girl's future was safeguarded. I have no expertise in architecture, Isabel argued, yet you possess skills in organization, client relations, and project management. I possess knowledge in investment and business development. Michael offered the imaginative direction. Thomas waved his hand toward the portfolio. We possess all that is required. Isabel surveyed the materials laid out before her. Concrete manifestations of Michael's vision. Time is required for this process. Capital allocation. We begin with a single endeavor, taking it step by step. Thomas paused, uncertainty flickering in his mind. I understand this is quite a bit to think about, particularly with all that's going on. Isabel lifted one of Michael's sketches with a sense of curiosity. A community hub featuring a groundbreaking rooftop garden. He took immense pride in this design, discussing it for weeks on end. Let's bring it to life, Thomas murmured gently. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. For the first time since Michael's death, Isabel experienced a sensation that transcended mere grief and the instinct to endure. A glimmer of potential. A path that respects the past while creating a fresh beginning. At some point, she concurred, gently placing the materials back into the box. Initially, we must seek out a new residence. Thomas beamed with delight. Progress unfolds gradually. Mom, I seem to have misplaced my blue backpack. Emma's voice echoed from the upper level of their new apartment. Isabel cast a quick look at her watch. Take a moment to look beneath your bed. It's time for us to head out in 5 minutes. Thomas showed up right when Isabel was sending the girls off to school. The 2-bedroom apartment was unassuming, yet it was conveniently situated just 3 blocks from the girls' school and nestled in a secure neighborhood. My apologies for arriving ahead of schedule, Thomas said with a hint of regret. The flow of traffic was more subdued than anticipated. Ideal moment. Could you take them to school? I must wrap up the details for the Walker wedding before noon. Isabel passed him Emma's lunch bag. Sophia attends band practice following her school day. Thomas reassured her, now well acquainted with the girls' routine after 4 months of being part of their lives. I will collect them both at 4 and bring them to the park until you finish. As Thomas guided the girls down the stairs to his car, Isabel paused to reflect on the significant transformations that had unfolded. The apartment may not have been luxurious, but it was their own, with a manageable rent that she could afford due to her full-time job with Patricia. Thomas had provided assistance with the security deposit in the form of a loan, and Isabel was resolutely making monthly repayments. Later that afternoon, Isabel encountered Thomas and the girls at the park. From afar, she observed Thomas giving Emma a gentle push on the swing, all the while engaging in a lively discussion about a book with Sophia. The scene filled her with a poignant mix of sorrow and beauty. Michael ought to have arrived, yet she felt thankful that the girls had Thomas in their lives now. Patricia remarked on his impressive skills with them, having joined Isabel for an after-work meeting to discuss upcoming events. Indeed, he is, Isabel concurred. They are mending one another. What about you? Patricia inquired softly. Are you on your journey to recovery as well? Isabel pondered the question. In a unique manner. Every day, I feel the absence of Michael. Yet I'm beginning to cherish the joy more than the sorrow. Once Patricia departed, Isabel made her way to Thomas and the girls at the playground. Sophia declared that Uncle Thomas is assisting her with her science project. We are in the process of creating a structure that can withstand seismic activity. And he's going to be at my dance recital next week, Emma added. He made a vow. Isabel beamed at Thomas, her expression warm and inviting, as she looked past the girls. It appears that Uncle Thomas has quite a lot on his plate. Not overly occupied for family, Thomas responded plainly. That weekend, Thomas assisted Isabel in transforming the apartment's modest second bedroom into a collaborative area, a shared space for the girls, and a dedicated area for Isabel's expanding jeweler venture. Morales Designs experienced a degree of success after Thomas introduced Isabel to various boutique owners within his client network. Isabel admired the display stands, carefully arranging her bracelets on the wooden holders that Thomas had crafted. The upcoming craft fair is scheduled for next Saturday. I'll keep an eye on the girls, Thomas suggested. Perhaps we could visit that new museum for kids. Isabel took a moment to halt her work. Thomas, I've been reflecting on Michael's architectural designs. Thomas paused his task of putting together a desk and glanced upward. What is their story? I signed up for a business administration course at the community college. Evening sessions 2 times a week. Thomas's face lit up with a grin. Isabel, that's wonderful, she agreed with a nod. This is merely the beginning. Yet I am eager to grasp what it entails to create something inspired by Michael's designs. Not immediately, but eventually. I believe that's absolutely perfect, Thomas remarked, his voice heavy with feeling. Michael would surely take pride in this. Are you still open to offering your assistance? Isabel inquired with a touch of uncertainty. When the moment arrives. Go ahead and give it a shot, Thomas responded. Later that night, after Thomas had left and the girls were tucked in, Isabel found herself at her new desk, gazing at a framed photo of Michael. Beside it, she set down a photo captured just last week of Thomas with the girls at the zoo. She murmured to Michael's image, "You were right about him. Beneath that unwavering exterior lies the sibling you've always longed for." The anniversary of Michael's passing came with a soft embrace of autumn's chill. Isabel, Thomas, and the girls made a heartfelt trip to the cemetery, carrying flowers and a delicate architectural model that Sophia had crafted with Thomas's assistance. Do you believe Daddy is able to see this? Emma inquired, setting the model beside the headstone. Isabel replied with caution. I believe he is aware of it. I believe he would truly enjoy it. Thomas knelt beside the grave, his fingers brushing against the cool stone, a moment of quiet reflection enveloping him. Apologies for the delay in locating them. Brother, he murmured softly. Rest assured, I have no intention of leaving at this moment. Subsequently, they returned to the safety deposit box, now with a clear intention. Thomas and Isabel meticulously deliberated over their plan, a modest memorial project inspired by one of Michael's designs, aimed at both commemorating his legacy and evaluating the practicality of his architectural vision. As Isabel unlocked the box, Sophia inquired, What are we searching for, Mom? Isabel shared that there was something special left for us by Daddy, a collaborative endeavor we will create together. Thomas assisted her in lifting out the portfolio. Your father was an exceptionally skilled architect. Ladies, here are his designs. We will select one and transform it into reality. They laid out the designs on the table, detailing to the girls the significance of each illustration. Sophia and Emma eagerly pointed to their favorites, peppering Thomas with questions about dimensions and materials, which brought a delightful laugh from him at their inquisitive nature. Concealed within the expansive portfolio, Isabel stumbled upon a previously overlooked sealed envelope. It was stated plainly, Thomas. This wasn't here last time, Isabel remarked, passing it to him. With great care, Thomas opened the envelope, revealing a handwritten letter from Michael. Thomas, should you come across this, it signifies that you've returned to my family. I have always held the belief that you would eventually come to this realization. I've outlined plans for a quaint lakefront project. Just a simple community pavilion for the park where I take the girls on weekends. The city has been seeking out donors and designs, yet nothing has come to fruition. It would be incredibly meaningful to realize that this could come to fruition one day with your support. Isabel possesses a strength that surpasses her own awareness, and the girls carry the essence of Reed creativity within them. Perhaps this marks the start of something new. More than mere architecture, it serves as a connection linking history with what lies ahead. Long ago, I found it in my heart to forgive you, brother. I trust that you will find it in your heart to forgive yourself. Michael Thomas gazed upward, his eyes shimmering with emotion. He provided detailed plans for a particular project. The gathering space at Lakeside Park. Isabel scrutinized the intricate designs. These are stunning, uncomplicated yet refined, and pragmatic, Thomas added. The city continues to require this pavilion. I have acquaintances on the parks committee. Sophia pulled gently at his sleeve. Is it truly possible for us to construct Daddy's building? Thomas locked eyes with Isabel, recognizing the shared spark of determination mirrored in his gaze. Indeed, he responded. We will craft your father's legacy, one design at a time. As they exited the bank side by side, the autumn sun pierced through the clouds, creating elongated shadows that trailed behind them while brightening the way forward. 2 years had gone by since Thomas first encountered Isabel outside Bellerive. The warm spring afternoon enveloped Thomas as he settled onto the stone steps of a humble storefront, observing the hurried movements of pedestrians passing by. The sign above the door displayed the name Reed Morales Architectural Design in a refined and understated font. Through the expansive windows, he observed Isabel leading a small group of 3 designers, gesturing towards blueprints laid out on a conference table. Her confidence had surged dramatically since they launched the firm 6 months ago. Having finished her business courses and successfully managed the construction of Michael's pavilion at Lakeside Park, Isabel ultimately conceded that they were prepared to embark on the venture Michael had envisioned. Thomas glanced at his watch. The girls would soon be completing their studies at school. At 11 and 9, Sophia and Emma had transformed into self-assured, imaginative young girls who cherished their father's memory, yet had moved beyond the weight of grief. The door swung open, and Isabel stepped out with her client, exchanging a firm handshake and a light-hearted laugh before the woman took her leave. Yet another pleased client? What's on your mind? Thomas inquired as Isabel took a seat beside him on the steps. Mrs. Henderson appreciates the eco-friendly elements in the design. We secured the contract. Isabel beamed with delight. The furrows of persistent concern that had previously etched her features were now transformed into joyful creases framing her eyes. That's a trio of projects this month. Thomas remarked that Michael would be proud, a statement that had previously caused anguish but now offered solace. Isabel concurred, particularly regarding the girls. Did you hear that Sophia's science project took home the top prize? Unadulterated ingenuity in engineering. And Emma's artwork is adorning my refrigerator. Thomas remarked with a laugh. A delightful showcase of creativity from both sides of the family. The company had not reached significant profitability yet, but it was experiencing consistent growth. Thomas contributed the initial funding and valuable industry contacts. Yet Isabel was adamant about a business model that would enable them to repay that investment within 5 years. Thomas's development company has engaged Reed Morales for a number of its smaller projects, establishing a solid groundwork as they work on enhancing their reputation. Isabel glanced at her phone. The girls ought to be finished with their classes. Care to indulge in some ice cream with us? Sophia has been discussing her history presentation nonstop this week. Absolutely not, Thomas responded. As they strolled toward the school, Isabel's phone buzzed with an incoming call from a prospective client. As she spoke, Thomas pondered the significant transformations that had taken place. He no longer wandered through his vacant penthouse, surrounded by riches, yet devoid of meaningful connection. His weekends were now filled with soccer matches, science projects, and family dinners at Isabel's apartment, where the girls had insisted on adorning the walls with photographs of both Michael and their newly expanded family. Isabel concluded her conversation. The location in question was the community center situated in Westfield. A meeting is being arranged to discuss their expansion plans. Thomas proposed that Michael's rooftop garden design would be ideal for that. I had the same thought. They arrived at the school just as the children started to pour out of the building. Sophia was the first to notice them, dashing forward with Emma trailing closely behind. "Dear Uncle Thomas." "Mother, can you believe it?" "Excuse me." Sophia announced, breathless with excitement, that Patterson had declared my presentation on architectural history the best in the class. "And I was selected for the art show," Emma interjected, determined to make her mark. Thomas knelt down to give both girls a high five. "This definitely calls for a celebration." "Frozen dessert?" "Indeed." The girls erupted in a chorus of cheers. As they strolled toward the ice cream shop, Sophia intertwined her fingers with Thomas's, while Emma animatedly discussed her art project with Isabel. The effortless closeness of it all, this family that had emerged from grief and healing, still sometimes took Thomas aback. "I wish Daddy could see our company," Sophia said suddenly, her words cutting through the air with the honesty only a child can muster. "Do you believe he is aware?" Thomas shared a fleeting look with Isabel before responding with caution. "Your father would surely be in awe of the incredible achievements your mother has accomplished, as well as the remarkable young women you both have become," Sophia declared with pride. "Mom says I have his eyes and his stubborn brain." "Indeed, you do," Thomas chuckled, "the admirable kind of stubbornness, the sort that creates enduring legacies." At the ice cream shop, while the girls deliberated over flavors, Isabel glanced at Thomas. "I never expressed my gratitude to you as I should have," she said softly. "For what?" "For your unwavering determination, for standing by us, even when I tried to distance myself." Thomas gave a slight shake of his head. "I owe you my gratitude for allowing me another opportunity with my family. I nearly overlooked it completely." Isabel observed her daughters at the counter. "We all received an unexpected opportunity. I believe, one that diverges from our original intentions, yet remains positive." "Excellent," Thomas concurred. Later, as they gathered around a table savoring their ice cream, Thomas found himself observing the faces that had become the focal point of his existence. The anguish of losing Michael would never fully fade, yet it had evolved into something meaningful, a connection linking the past to the future, just as Michael had envisioned. Sophia passionately shared her latest building design concept, creatively using spoons and napkins to emphasize her ideas, while Emma contributed with her artistic insights. Isabel's gaze met Thomas's from across the table, and a smile blossomed on her lips, a fleeting moment of unspoken connection lingering in the air. They were not an ordinary family. Their journey to unity was paved with sorrow and remorse. Yet, piece by piece, day by day, they forged something significant, a tribute to Michael's memory. Not through extravagant displays or flawless conclusions, but through the quiet, powerful act of progressing together.